It is time for another Monday yoga practice. Welcome back inside. Even in the shade out there, it's just too much on the deck. So it's kind of nice to be back indoors where it's cool. Today, I didn't turn the lights on to keep it a little cooler. I've got the fan going though. Today will be a slow flow class with some holds. So it's a deep release kind of class. So we'll find some poses kind of intermixed with our movement. And we're going to hold a little longer with the intention of kind of melting into a nice deep stretch. As always, if it hurts, you shouldn't do it. And the stretches that you feel should be along the length of the muscle, never in a focal point at a joint at either end of the muscle, the origin or the insertion. So modify when you need to, rest when you need to. Again, this will be a slow, kind of a lazy summer day kind of flow with some holds in it. As we sit here for a moment, coming to the breath, just arrive. In an upright seated position, imagine your head is the very top of a strand of pearls. Those pearls are dangling, very heavy, that downward energy from that top pearl. The belly expands as you inhale and softens as you exhale. Take 3 more breaths like this. A chance to come back to the mat. Leave everything, the dust of the day out there to settle. And then open the eyes. I do believe dogs are mindful and living in the moment every moment. She's never, I don't think, worried about what happened or wondering about what's coming. She's just always right there in the moment. I guess there's a lesson there. You can stay in this shape, but I invite you to come onto your shins to thunderbolt pose. I know some people have issues with knees and ankles, so modify as you need to. But if you can come to thunderbolt, please do. A modification for thunderbolt would be to sit on something in between your bottom and your heels, or put a couple of blocks kind of in between the legs. Still connected to the breath, roll the shoulders up, back, and down, opening through the front chest, and drop your chin down to the chest. Hold here. Just feel that nice stretch that the weight of the head provides for the neck. Now, slowly bring your chin towards one shoulder and slowly let the chin come back down to center. Go to the second side. And do a few each way. Letting go that tension from the day. And when you feel you're even, both sides, let the chin drop again. Now lace the fingers behind the head and let the weight of the hands help with this stretch. Around the spine like you're coming into cat, like you're trying to touch your nose to your belly button. Keep breathing, it gets a little tougher. Two more breaths. And on an inhale, rise up, release the arms down to the side, shake the head a little bit. Come back to that nice neutral spine. Let the spine reset for a moment. And then take the hands behind you, one at a time. Fingers pointed behind you. We'll come into a little back bend here, so a little cow shape. Really settle in to the wrist. Make sure you're comfortable there. And then lift the chest, lift the gaze. And in this shape, you can even let the head dangle back. Breathe. Breathe into the upper chest. May feel a little tingling in the arms, especially the forearms and the hands. That's okay. That just means you need a nice stretch in the pectoralis muscles. 2 more breaths. And then come back up to a neutral spine. Shake the hands out if they're tingly. It should come back quickly. So I'm sure I've shared with you before, thoracic outlet syndrome is common. We get short through this part of the chest because of our poor posture, because we roll forward all the time. So with these shortened muscles, when you open those muscles up, they're short, so they're really tight and they press against the thoracic outlet, which is where the muscles that feed into the arm and into the hand pass through from the neck into the arm and the hand. So if this is tight, when you press down with that muscle on those nerves, it just makes them tingle a little. It just means you need to stretch through the upper body. Come into table, hands and knees. Big toes together. Knees out wide, nice wide child's pose. And settle into this. Wiggle around a little bit, stack the fists under the forehead, or if you can, extend the arms long. Melt the heart down to the mat. Melt the forehead down to the mat. Let the shoulders release and relax. Look up at the hands. Now flip the palms up. You may have to kind of lift up a little bit. So the eyes of the elbows point upward. And feel how that opens up the shoulders, drops the trapezius muscle away from the ears. Now you can keep that shape in the shoulders and just flip the palms. Now you've made some more space in the shoulders and the neck. Maybe even tuck the chin a little bit, providing some length and some space in the cervical spine. And then inhale back to table. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Push into the mat. Let's do a few cat and cow. So inhale, but nice and slow as you can. Trying to feel every vertebrae move. And tying your breath with the movement. Let's do one more each direction. And then meet in a neutral spine. Threading the needle with the left arm, reach out shoulder height, push into the right arm. It's like you grow up out of the shoulder. Bring the left arm behind the right, twist through the shoulder, twist through the upper body, bring the shoulder down, side of the head down. Fingertips on the right hand, press into the floor, into the earth. Elbow points directly up towards the ceiling, towards the sky. Turn your heart to the right. You can even turn and look over the right shoulder a bit here, taking the twist a little more up into the neck. Flatten the right palm, unwind. Let's reach up, counter twist, reach. And back down. Second side, right arm out. Push into the left. Support the shoulder by making some space. Reach behind the left. Twisting and trying to stack those shoulders. Bring the side of the head and the shoulder down. Fingertips of the left hand now push down into the floor, elbow points up. And you can even try to take your gaze over the left shoulder. Two more breaths. And then unwind, find your way back to table. Make sure the knees are under the hips. Sometimes when you do these twisting movements, the knees tend to, or at least mine do, tend to kind of inch outward. I want you to bring your right leg up, but step your foot to the outside of your right hand. We're going to come into lizard, the left leg. You may want to inch back a little bit so you're resting a little above the kneecap and not right on the kneecap. Hips start to sink down, and you can kind of, my pants are kind of stuck here. You can kind of come into this and then ease out. And up the pelvis down and ease out. Pay attention to the right knee. Maybe you need just a little external rotation of the foot. You play with your knee. If it hurts, see if you can change the angle of your foot. If it still hurts, then go to a place where it doesn't. Eventually find some stillness. And we'll start with the arms long. Bring a little tone to this. Boy, that picture's really dark. I may have to turn the light on. Bring a little tone to this by drawing your right hip back and kind of dragging your left knee forward. And notice how you can keep that engagement and still sink into the twist. But it's a safer way, or into the stretch. It's a safer way to stretch. Now maybe you come to the forearms, maybe not. We're going to hold this for several breaths. Feel the stretch, breathe into it. And plant the hands on the mat again if you came to your forearms. And this is a little different. I hope you can see me. And after we work through this side, I'll turn the lights on. I think the light's coming in the front door, and now it's kind of darkened everything. So this is a little different. I hope you can see. Maybe I will turn. You stay like you are, and I'm going to turn so you can see me. So I'm in the same shape, lizard, with my arms extended long. I'm going to turn and come to my left hip. Let the hip come down. The arm stays long. Settle in. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Now both arms can stay on the mat forward. Get a nice stretch here in the side and in the hip. Let's hold this. And then to take this into a twist, I'm going to swing my right hand behind me, kind of like we did with that back bend. Only now my fingers point forward. I'm going to look over my right shoulder. And unwind. And come back into child's pose. You stay in child's pose while I give us some light. Oh, it's not quite good enough. Let me get the big lights on. There we go. I hate having that harsh light on, but I don't think you can see me. All right, come back up to table. So now that you've done it in the dark, I'll see if you can see me. Maybe it makes a little more sense. So from table, I'm going to step my left foot to the outside of my left hand, and then work on that back leg. Make it longer. See if you can come above the kneecap. Wrists are under shoulders. And then engage the hips, drawing the left hip back, right hip forward, and kind of squirm around in this. Drop the hips a little, and then lift the hips a little. Sometimes these deep stretches take a little finesse. Then find stillness. Let's keep the arms extended. Keep the hips engaged. But keep stretching, keep dropping down into this. Make sure you have equal weight on your hands. And then maybe you come to your forearms. Maybe you don't. And see if you need to externally rotate the left foot a little bit. This is a pretty deep stretch. Try to yield. I'll take 3 more breaths. And then come onto the palms again, extending the arms. The wrists are under the shoulders. I'm going to rotate, so I'm dropping to the right hip now. And you have to kind of wiggle that foot back there and wiggle the foot up here. It's kind of a side plank with your hip down. Push into the hand. And a nice deep side bend on the right side now. You can keep both hands on the mat, twisting this way. And then swing the arm behind you and come into a twist this way. Looking over your left shoulder now. And then unwind. And come into a nice wide child's pose again. Big, wide knees. Slowly inch your way back there. Feeling that space in the hips. And then melting your heart down to the mat, kind of snuggling it in. Tuck your chin a little bit, bring your forehead down. Reach the arms long. And then let's look up at the hands again. Flip the hands. With the elbows, you're reaching the little fingers towards each other. A nice external rotation, opening up the shoulders. And then flip the palms open or over, leaving the shoulders nice and spacious. Wiggle your fingers a bit while you're here. Circle your wrists. And on your next inhale, come back to table. Tuck your toes. Downward facing dog. And let's pedal and wiggle and squirm. And then find stillness with your feet hip distance apart. Bend your knees a lot. Lay your belly down on your thighs. And then as you inhale, sit bones straight up. Now, we won't be able to flip the hands over and let the little fingers reach each other, but to come to that same place in the shoulders, see if you can find it. Or you can bend the elbows outward like you're trying to bring your head down and then dip the elbows towards the mat and straighten the arms. And you'll feel the shoulders drop down away from the ears. Let's hold down dog for 5 more breaths. You can always come down to the knees and come into happy puppy, or come into child's pose again. Two more breaths for me. Now ripple forward into plank. You have to wiggle those feet back. Hips are in line with shoulders. Drop your knees. Sit back in child's. You can keep the toes tucked. Round forward with the spine. Coming into a kneeling plank. Drop the hips. Lift the heart, lift the gaze. Cobra. Exhale back into child's pose.
Round forward with the spine, chin's tucked. Then you unfurl as the shoulders are over the wrist,
and the hips come down and the gaze comes up. And then back to child's pose. Let's do 3 more of these. Two more.
Last one.
Put the tops of the feet on the mat. Sit back in child's pose. This time the knees are hip distance apart. But wiggle into the hips. Bring the heart down to the mat. Forehead to the mat.
Crawl the fingertips forward as you push the hips back. And then you don't have to look up at the hands. Open up so the palms face upward. Little fingers are reaching towards one another. Feel that open through the shoulders, and then just flip the hands over. Three more.
Inhale up into table. Well, let's swing the legs around and come to our backs. I'm going to turn. Lying on your back with feet hip distance apart, knees hip distance apart. Just pause here to begin with. Spine's in neutral position. Or really roll the palms up. In fact, over roll them. Like turn the little fingers so they're facing up towards the ceiling. Lift the shoulders, tuck those shoulder blades. Lay the arms down. Now flip the palms. Feel that nice space in the front chest and in the shoulders. Shoulder blades are like hands behind your lungs right now. Lift the right knee and draw it towards the chest. Take your hands behind the thigh. We're going to work through the hamstring here. Reach through the heel. And keep the leg straight. So for you, that might mean the leg is a little lower. Or maybe you can straighten the leg and it looks like you're going to step on the ceiling. If you're in a place that you can lace your fingers, pull on your thigh, but resist with your thigh. So we're doing a little pulling motion. Remember, yoga doesn't give us many opportunities for that. So let's take advantage of this one, working the biceps. Breathe into the stretch. You should feel this all up and down the back side of the leg. It shouldn't be isolated or it shouldn't be painful. And if you have more room and you can keep the leg straight, you can press into the right foot for a little grounding, or into the left foot, sorry. And then draw the right knee towards you. And breathe into the stretch. Now bend your knee. Draw the knee really close. We're going to open up through the hip. Now this is not a number 4 hip stretch. I want you to take your foot in your left hand. And it's a pigeon on your back. So flex the foot deeply. Kind of cradle the whole shin as you draw the shin up to the chest, up to the belly. But keep the foot flexed. And don't put a lot of pressure on the knee. You're kind of gently coaxing that shin up to the belly. Breathe into the stretch.
Deepen if the muscles invite that. Just don't torque the knee. With the foot flexed, you protect the knee. But don't get overzealous with the pull. 2 more breaths. Now keep this pigeon shape. We're going to come into a twist. So I'm taking my foot across the body, planting the foot down. The left knee's going to follow. And then take the gaze to the right fingertips. Lay the shoulders on the mat. You can tuck the shoulders again if you need to. And then just work to push the knee away. And then play with drawing the knee towards you. Feel how that kind of rolls the stretch across the glutes. And then come to stillness. Settle in, release into the stretch. And come back to center. Now the leg really is in a number 4 position. You can keep it here or cross at the knees, coming into our cow face legs. If you have the space to wrap the foot, do that. If not, no problem. Just cross the knees. And then drop both knees to the left. And take your gaze to the right. This is a deeper stretch. So there's a difference between pain and intensity. If you're just feeling intensity, see if you can soften into it. And then inhale back to center. Unwrap the legs, straighten the legs out, and give them a little wiggle. And bend the knees again. Pause here. Other leg, left leg, I believe. We're going to lace the fingers behind the thigh. Flex the foot, so drawing the toes towards your knee. Reach up through the heel. And the more you reach through the heel and work to straighten the leg, the more intense the stretch is in the hamstring. There shouldn't be strain in the low back, though. And try to find the place where you can keep the legs straight. So if that means your leg's lower, that's fine. If you are at a place where the leg is being held by laced fingers, you can pull on the leg and resist with the leg at the same time. So you're giving a little work to the biceps, a little pulling action. About 3 more breaths here, and if you've got some more space, you can work the hands up the leg, push down on the right foot. I hope I'm seeing the correct side. When I turn sideways, I don't mirror, but I'm not sure if I flipped that in my head. Now the leg that's extended, bend it, keep the foot flexed. Take the foot and then kind of cradle the shin as you open up through the hip and come into a supine pigeon. Being mindful of the knee. Take 3 more big breaths. Coming into that twist, draw the foot across the body, bring the foot to the floor. And then the other knee follows. Arms come out on the floor, and take your gaze in the opposite direction. And then push that top knee away and draw that knee towards you. Feel the change in the stretch in the glute. Piriformis muscle, just kind of feel that ripple moving through this stretch. And then come to stillness, wherever you feel like you need to spend a little time. Everything comes back to the center. You can repeat that or come into the cow face legs. Well, that's twisting like a pretzel. And if you can just cross the legs, that's fine too. If you can wrap, I can only wrap when I'm on my back. I can't do it when I'm standing. Then drop the knees over, remembering this is more intense. Be slow. And take the gaze to the other side. Breathe into the stretch. Breathe into the intensity. And sometimes the breath will invite a little deeper movement into the stretch. Kind of convinces the muscles it's okay to release. And on an inhale, come back, unwrap the legs, and bring the legs out to the mat. Give them a little shake. And pause here for a moment. Just notice the hips and the legs. Had some pretty good stretches. What do they feel like now? And then roll over to your right side and work your way back up to a seated position. Before I forget to tell you, I didn't want to say it at the very beginning in case you weren't all on. Jarrett will send out an email to this effect too, but next Monday, a week from today, I'm going to cancel class. It's my birthday, and I just found out that all my girls are planning something up north. So, I'm going to take the opportunity to go up and celebrate with them. It's also my oldest grandson's birthday the day after mine, so rumor has it there's a piñata involved. I guess that's probably for him. All right, let's roll over the knees and come into table and lift right away into downward facing dog. Now swing the right leg back and up. Bend the left knee a lot and then really kick the right leg up, working to straighten that left leg then. As you exhale, round the spine, draw the knee towards the upper arm on the right side, right up towards the armpit, and then back up to three-legged dog leg straight. Exhale, round forward, back towards the armpit again. Inhale, back up. Exhale, come to the armpit, and then slide the knee right behind the wrist. Now we're going to come into pigeon. So if pigeon doesn't feel right in your body, you can always lie on your back and do a number 4 hip stretch, or you can do that pigeon that we just did, pulling kind of the shin up to the chest. Now let's work our way into this pigeon. It's a deep release. Sometimes you have to wiggle and settle into the joint spaces. If your knee's bent like mine is and your foot's close to you, you can point the toe. If your shin is more parallel to the front edge of the mat, you need to flex your foot to protect your knee. And we'll hold here and lengthen through that back leg, and then come down onto the forearms and maybe even all the way down. And we're going to hold this a bit. Again, intensity versus pain. Pain no good, intensity good for deep release. Breathe into the intensity. And notice even in this shape, as you're really stretching, drawing the right hip back and the left hip forward adds a little, it's called eccentric contraction. So you're contracting isometrically, so no movement, but it's a safer way to stretch in these deep release poses. Three more breaths here.
Extend the arms long. Come on to the palms. You can stay here or bend the left knee and try to make sure you're above the kneecap and then bend, drawing the heel towards your bottom. I think maybe you can see my foot back there. So draw the heel up. Stay here if you want a nice intense stretch of the left quad. Stay strong on the left arm. Reach back there with the right hand and find the foot. And this is a deep one for me. Lots of intensity with this one. 3 more breaths. And release. Tuck the toes back there and lift right back up into a 3-legged dog. Right leg back and up. Oh, kind of a stretch to get that leg back and up there. It's going, oh my goodness. Roll through the ankle and then drop the heel to your bottom. Let's do some gentle circling through that hip. And go the other direction. Drop both feet to the mat, downward facing dog. Bend the knees. Big wide child's pose. And as you come into the child's pose, pay attention to differences in left and right hip. Soften through the heart, soften through the forehead. Externally rotate those shoulders. And then flip the palms over. And breathe. Happy puppy spine here too. Turning your head to one side or the other is okay as well. If you have your head turned, flip it to the other side now. On your next inhale, press back into table, getting those knees under the hips and lift right up into downward facing dog. Left leg back and up, 3-legged dog. Bend the right leg a bit so you can really kick the left up. Then work to straighten the right. As you exhale, round the spine. Draw the left knee towards the upper part of the left arm, right towards the armpit. Then inhale back up. Exhale forward. Remember the hands. Fingers are spread wide and we're pressing into the base of the index finger and base of the thumb. Take that load to the inner wrist. Now come up to the armpit with the knee. You can work on sliding that back foot back. And then drop the knee to the back of the wrist. Long right leg. As you settle into this pigeon. Play with the hips a little bit. Hold here with the arms long again, paying attention to those hands. Pressing into the base of the index finger, base of the thumb. It's so easy to start pressing into the little finger side of the hand, and that's not the place to press. Your wrist will get really sore. 2 more breaths here. And then maybe you stay here, or maybe you fold forward and soften into this. Remembering to draw the left hip back this time and the right hip forward. Keep that engagement as you release and yield to the stretch. Three more. Now extend the arms long once again. Kind of wiggle around. Make sure you're above the right kneecap. Bend the knee, draw the heel towards your bottom. Maybe that's enough. Or stay on the right hand. Swing the left hand back there for the right foot. Draw the heel towards your bottom. Three more. Unwind. Extend that leg, tuck the toes. Three-legged dog, left leg back and up. And then some hip mandalas, circle through the hip. We'll do 3 one way. And 3 the other. Drop both feet into a downward facing dog. Drop your knees. Knees wide. Big, wide child's pose.
Then notice, have the shoulders open some more. Are you closer to the mat now with your heart, with your chest? Turn head to one side if that feels good. Wiggle those fingers. Circle the wrists. Breathe down into the hips. Lift the head and turn the other way. And then press into table. Swing the legs around and we're going to come to a seated position. Starting with Baddha Konasana. Soles of the feet together. Take your hands behind you, pick your hips up. Scoot towards your feet. And then wiggle around here. Sometimes it helps to pull the flesh away from the sit bones. Excuse me, finding the sit bones. Take your ankles. Open through the front chest. Draw the shoulder blades back towards the spine. Keep the shoulders out of the ears. Sit tall. As you inhale, imagine you're a helium balloon in the chest and the head. As you exhale, fold forward, leading with the heart. Take your forearms to your shins. And a little eccentric contraction here. There's another term for this movement. It's P something. I forget what it stands for. But you push with the forearms into the shins, and then you resist with the shins. So first the forearms are winning, and then the shins are winning. And you're softly butterflying open the hips, kind of tricking the muscle fibers into releasing and relaxing. When you stretch muscle fibers, their instinct is to, or reflex, is to tense the fibers that you're stretching and those around them. With patience, and with this exercise, PNF, I've got to look that up. I always say I'm going to and I don't. But that's a way to trick those muscle fibers into going, oh, okay, it's all right. I can let go. And just hold here. If you have a block or something to prop your head on, this is a good place to have that. And if not, that's okay. I'll take about 5 more breaths here. Last one. I'm going to Extend the hands back onto the floor and rise up. Move the block out of the way if you had it. Lean back. Extend the knees up towards the ceiling. Keep them hip distance apart and about, 6, 8, 10 inches away from your butt. Roll the shoulders open. Fingers are pointing towards the top of the mat. Now we're going to lift into an upside down table. So extend the hips up. You can keep looking at the knees, or you can let your head drop. Or you're going to hold this. And again, don't push into the pinky edge of the wrist. Push more into the inner aspect of the wrist. The base of the thumb. 3 more breaths. And exhale, drop the hips. Come back to Baddha Konasana. Sit tall. And then this time, just flop forward. Just let it go. Rise up. Go ahead and lie down on your mat. We're going to do some work on the back. Starting with the knees and feet hip distance apart. Pause in a neutral spine. And breathe. Roll the palms up. And then again, really externally rotate the arms. Tuck the shoulder blades. Then lay the arms down and just flip the palms. Feel the space in the upper chest. Extend the right leg long on the mat. If that bothers the back, feel free to keep the knee bent. Flex the foot. Now draw the left knee towards you. We're going to come into half happy baby now. So hand can come behind the knee to the shin or to the inside of the foot. Draw the knee down towards the floor. Turn the toes outward. Push them a bit with the hand. Try to keep the low back on the mat. The right side may lift just a bit, but try to keep reaching towards the mat with the sacrum, with the pelvis. We'll take 3 more breaths here. Now draw your heel towards your pubic bone, and with your legs straight, come into that pigeon again. Mindful of your knee. And then extend that leg long and shake it around on the mat a little. Second side. Knee comes in. The leg that's long, I think it's your left. Flex the foot, keep it active. And then coming into half happy baby, I believe it's on your right. Turning those toes outward and focusing on sensation, and then send the breath there. And if there's an invitation to go deeper, feel a little release, even if it's just a millimeter, go deeper. Three more breaths. Now draw your heel towards your pubic bone. Keep the foot flexed. We're going to gather the shin and come into the supine pigeon. Drawing your shin up towards your chest, up towards your belly. Extend that leg long, shake it out. And draw both knees in. We're going to take full happy baby. And you can play a little here. Roll a bit left and right across the spine with the intent of kind of settling into the joints, making space in the joints. And then come to stillness and draw those knees down. This is another opportunity to pull. We'll take 6 more breaths here. Two more for me. Draw the soles of the feet together. Take your ankles. Flying Baddha Konasana. Keep the legs lifted. Pull the ankles towards you. The elbows and the forearms. Push the knees open. Now keep your legs in the shape and lower them to the mat. Knees drop out. Take the hands under the head, lace the fingers, and rest the skull in the hands. Again, tuck the shoulder blades. And as you're ready, release down into corpse pose, if that's the pose you choose for Shavasana, or whatever pose you're choosing. If you're in corpse pose, another tuck of the shoulder blades underneath the torso. Think of hands behind your lungs, behind your heart. Notice the palms of your hands. Notice the hollow space in the palms of the hands. And explore the hands, the palms, the fingers for any sensation. Might have some tingling going on there. And since you're not looking at your hands, how do you know where that tingling begins? Perhaps it's above the skin in the subtle, energetic body. As the breath comes and the breath goes, and the body relaxes, let your mind rest in the palms of your hands for a few moments of stillness.
begin to deepen your breath. Do nothing more. Feel the rise and fall of the belly with a deeper breath. Draw that breath into the toes, into the fingers. Let the presence of the breath invite movement into those places. Really slow. Feel every knuckle. And then expand the movement into the wrists and elbows and ankles. Bring your hands together and bring the legs together. Flip the hands as you reach overhead for a good morning stretch. Press through one heel and then the other. And draw both knees into the chest. Gather the knees, Apanasana. And rock from elbow to elbow. Across the back, especially the sacrum, the low back. Then roll to your right side. Rest your head on your arm. And give your eyes a few blinks, open and closed. Reach long with that top leg. Press yourself back to a seated position. I don't know about you, but my hips and legs feel really open right now. Really stretched. So that was a deep release class, holding into poses. There's yin. Yin and deep release kind of overlap, but we had a little more movement than a yin class would have. In yin classes, you can hold for quite a while, and you really should have quite a few props with a yin class. All right, let's reach up one more time. Gather what you need between your hands. Draw that home to your heart, and as you exhale, release on the breath what no longer serves. Let it go. May you have peaceful thoughts, peaceful words, a peaceful heart, and a peaceful world. Namaste. Thank you. It's very hot outside. If you go out there, take some water with you, or wait till later in the evening, or be like her and just lay around. Have a good evening.